Halloween season is here. Spooky time on Forest Tales channel. The neighbor. Karen was so tired of that stupid neighbor and had been only a few weeks since she moved. That was a personal record on annoying Karen. She was usually very friendly with everyone and all the staff in her building knew her name. Even when the door desk guys were out of their station or had the AC too cold or a scented candle on, or whatever was bothering Karen, she would very politely complain and just stay in the elevator hall waiting for them to take her mail or deliveries. She wasn't going to be a pain in the ass and just go there and make a scandal. But her new front door neighbor was asking Karen to lose her temper. Karen has been complaining since she arrived to stop using perfume at her house, because Karen could smell it from under the neighbor door and it gave Karen headaches. It wasn't her fault she was having headaches. The neighbor had to understand and stop using that scented stuff in her own house. And every day Karen complained, and the neighbor would just say that she wasn't doing anything wrong and send Karen to see a doctor and fix her own problem. Can you imagine that? Go to an expensive doctor appointment because the rude, smelly neighbor had no empathy. And it was every day. If she wasn't using perfume, she would clean her house with lemon-scented soap or bake a cake and fill Karen's nose with the unbearable vanilla that was giving her the worst migraines she ever had. And if that wasn't enough, the board didn't want to do anything about it, because it's her house and she has rights. First, it wasn't her house because Karen knew the owner, so she was going to make him take providences against his tenant, and second, it was her house as well and she didn't ask to smell vanilla every time she went to the hall. The stupid neighbor was from another country and had some weird religion Karen had never heard of and was using incense to her rituals. She had no limits. Someone had to do something about it. Karen was done complaining and no one was taking any measures to solve her problem. 3 days ago, the neighbor had the audacity of accusing Karen of harassment and making an official denunciation to the administration of the building, and different from Karen's complaining, the board truly sent her an advertisement. That was so unfair that she couldn't even answer. She had to recover at first. And her migraines since then got worse. Her pain was so intense these days that she was sure that the stress the neighbor was giving her was being a plus to the already annoying perfume. Karen knocked at her door a couple times since then, but the neighbor was just saying, "Leave me alone, stop bothering me," and not opening the door for her. So, Karen decided to complain to the staff. Someone had to have common sense of that, but since the neighbor reported her, everyone in the building was ignoring Karen. Whatever that girl said, it was affecting Karen's reputation, and that couldn't be like this. She was going to be heard. Thus, Karen would just follow the staff around complaining about her situation to be sure she was going to be heard. They couldn't do that to her. Even her cat was looking weird at her. And they had to know that the neighbor was into witchy stuff. Karen saw more than once people going to her apartment to do tarot readings and other weird stuff. Karen didn't buy that medium bullshit, and, in her opinion, the neighbor could stick all her incense and crystals where the sun doesn't shine. That day Karen was going to solve it once for all. Karen went to the hall at 9 p.m. and started knocking on the neighbor door, unstopping until she answered it. Finally, the door opened, and before Karen could say anything, a guy looked right in her face saying, "There is no one here, babe," and with a smile knocked the damn door at her face. Those people were disgusting. Karen continued knocking on her door until 10:15 and she finally picked up. "Oh, finally you are talking to me," Karen said. "If I could see it, is you for sure the door would be closed?" She answered, closing the door to Karen's face. Karen yelled, "I know what you have done," making the neighbor to stop and come back. With a mocking face, the neighbor said, "Whatever you think you know, I am sure is delusional. And for someone with such a delicate nose, you smell like something that was eaten, spoiled, and shit in hell," and she slammed the door in Karen's face. Karen was shocked. She wasn't used to dealing with that type of person and went back home to try to calm herself down. She tried to make herself some tea, but she was so nervous that she couldn't turn on the cooktop. Her cat came close to her, meowing and asking for pettings. At least Mr. Cucumber loved her. While Karen was petting Mr. Cucumber, it began to regurgitate hairballs and ended up vomiting on the carpet. Karen yelled at it, but something called her attention. His vomit was red and had a terrible smell. The cat was sick. There was nothing wrong with him before. He was old but very healthy, and he had the same food as usual. If Karen could bet on something, she would say that the witchy neighbor cursed her poor baby. She called Mr. Cucumber's veterinarian and left a message asking him to call her as soon as possible. Those people should have emergency numbers, but they don't like to work. Next morning, Karen woke up with a knock on her door. She jumped scared. She never has visitors. So, she remembered Mr. Cucumber and thought it was the veterinarian. She listened to another knock and yelled, "I am coming." She had to get dressed, and veterinarians have to have patience with their patients. They were too expensive to complain. Another knock and she was on her way to the door when Karen listened to the key and watched incredulously when the janitor of the building opened the door for a couple of cops to come in. They immediately covered their noses and moved around her apartment, while Karen yelled at them about her rights and said that they couldn't invade her house like that without a very good reason. One of the cops called the partner from her room closet. "Here, I found her. How long do you think she is dead?" And the partner, coming from behind Karen, said, "Maybe 3 days, maybe less. It's hard to know with all these cat bites." "Poor cat," the first cop said. Karen looked inside the closet and saw herself naked, wrapped in a bath towel, with white eyes, purple skin and worms coming out of the nostrils. Half of her cheek was missing, later found vomited in the living room by Mr. Cucumber. The janitor asked, "What happened? Is she dead?" "Yes, she is dead, for a while." "Did anyone miss her?" "Do you know since when?" the cop asked. "I couldn't tell, officer. Sorry. We received complaints from the neighbors saying the hall was smelling really bad. Karen was always smelling weird shit, so we tried to reach her. But no one answered the door or her phone when we tried, so we called 911. But no one asked for her and probably wouldn't. We don't think she had any friends at all." "I understand. Did she had anyone as emergency contact? Anyone that could provide information or someone whom to call?" "I don't know if it helps, but she was having headaches for a while now. Everyone knew about it, because she was blaming the new tenant in 808 for her own headaches and causing confusion." "I hope the headache didn't kill her," the janitor answered. Karen was watching the whole scene in silence when the neighbor came out of her apartment. She said hi to the janitor with a kind smile. "Hard day, huh?" "Yes, she was really dead," the janitor said. Then the neighbor said, "I am going to ask for a mass in her name at church." "Do you know this woman, miss?" the officer asked. Then the neighbor looked right straight to Karen and said, "Oh no, not her or anyone related to her. I am just a medium, and I noticed that her soul needs to rest. That's all." Follow at Forrest the Storyteller on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok for more. Check out our website to read more tales. www.forestplumptales.com